and that sort of stuff. But in the grassroots, you know, and I don't know why we started to fall back. A lot has to do with the ego of at a younger age now of kids and parents. You know how kids are being selected. In Calgary specific, I can say is that the last 20 years I've watched us narrow down the kids' abilities. At age 6, when that never used to happen until it was 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And it's created the funnel is not wide enough at the bottom, and it creates the elitism and the egoism and the expensism that's happening today.
Well, Kerry, I'm going to ask Jordan, uh, the method of coaching, you and I had the same method. Mine was simple. I just rolled the lines. I had 4 lines, rolled them. Won a national female championship with 2 Olympians, defeating a team which I believe had 9, rolling the lines. And I'm not suggesting everybody does that. It just happened. I regarded my club team as a development team for the national team. Everybody was a candidate. The outcome wasn't really about winning the national championship. It was developing everybody. And by everybody feeling good about themselves, they won the national championship. It's that simple. So when I mentor, I just encourage coaches to transmit belief, play everybody, find roles for them, make it work. And Jordan, I'd like you now to maybe comment on your experience having worked with me over time in the Bantam AAA girls level, moving up to the midget AA girls that you worked with, and meeting Kerry and how it might have changed your approach.
Okay, Wally. Well, thanks. What I was looking at was the going back to those Bantam days you reminded me of was we only had 9 forwards and 6D in those days, and so it was fairly easy to roll 3 lines in that program. But at that point, Kerry, and I know you'd find this not surprising, there were parents that felt that that wasn't the right way to do it.
Yeah, I know.
And so it was 2 years with that program where it was same philosophy of getting everybody to play in all situations, and we won one provincial title and lost the provincial title in 2 overtime games in the second year. But with a team, the second year's team was a team that the parents had very low expectations for, but because they came together as a team, they did exceptionally well. And it's interesting that there's several players off of that team that are currently playing NCAA right now, and one was over playing for Team China in the Olympics this last go round. So then back involved with the midget or U18 programs. Same thing, looking for all players to play in all situations, and took some heat on it with the AAA group, and because of course everyone can do the math and divide 60 by the number of lines you're going with, the 60 minutes, but when you talk about equitable versus equal ice, their view of equitable changes, and so that was always a struggle in communicating the importance of the 4-line program. This year with the U18 AA, we're only allowed 11 forwards, 19 players, so 11 forwards is typically what the teams take, and the real obvious one that many programs took on was they just get their 3 best players out there more often, and they go with pairings and then have their 3 best players rotate through, whether they're on the wing or whether they're in the middle, usually centers, and that piece. And so in looking at the challenge of what to do with 11-player rotation, I was talking with you, Wally, and you suggested that I get a hold of Kerry, because you said Kerry has a rotation that works. Has worked for him in the past, but he said I don't necessarily understand it as good as talking to Carrie, and so I gave you a call, Carrie, and spent 3 hours on the phone. It was meant to be a short conversation, but of course, when you get hockey people talking, away we went. And it was a great conversation going into the real in-depth portion of it, understanding not only how the rotation worked, but what you were looking at for chemistry and lines and that sort of piece. And that's where this rotation works most, is that chemistry piece, as well as that building team piece. And I think that it took a little while. The kids understood exactly what we were trying to do first, of course. And then it took a little while for their parents to catch up. And once their parents caught up and saw the success that we were having with it, and seeing that their child was getting every opportunity to develop in all situations, it was accepted by the vast majority. I'm not going to say everyone, because I did have one parent that was questioning it, and fortunately I had a strong director that helped me out with that situation. And long story a little bit longer was we got into the championship game at provincials, and at the end of the first period we were tied. It was a tie game, and I looked over at my assistant coaches, and they were, one was in her second year of assistant coaching and one was in her first, and so I could tell that their anxiety was up there a little bit. And I just said to them, I said, we got them right where we want them. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, they're already shortened their bench down to 2 lines. I said, we roll our 4. I said, they won't keep up to us. And sure enough, we took a lead in the second and walked away a bit with it in the third. They had no pushback left. And so fortunate enough to win a provincial title, and be able to transmit the belief, as Wally said, by having all 4 lines rolling and contributing in a great way. So it turned out to be a really good season. Going back to what another piece that you said there, Carrie, was that the whole idea of creating team. And I said it to them right off the start, that the difference between this being a regular season and being a special season that you remember forever is how you come together and how you come together as a group. And it was funny how many kids echoed that back to me at the end of the year, that you said that this could be a special season if we came together. And they said it truly was. And so that was a good piece with that. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to the conversation that you and I had, Carrie, recently about turnovers. And
Jordan, I wanted to interrupt you because when you were talking about the support of that board member and the situation where you were confronted by a parent who didn't really think you were doing the right thing, Perry, this story nails the problem. Jordan, could you share it with us, please?
Well, it was a parent that decided to send me an email concerned with not only the rotation that we were using, but our actual line combinations. And the parent sent me a scouting report of all of my forward players, including his own daughter, and that. And so it was something that, as soon as it came to me, I just forwarded it directly to my director and said, could you please reach out to this parent, because if I do, it won't end well. And so what she did was she called me, of course, and asked, and she goes, this person obviously has never had a child in an elite program before. And I said, oh no, he has a son that's playing U18 AAA, or has played U18 AAA. And she goes, really? And so she got on the phone with that parent and had that same conversation and kind of said to him, I said, obviously you haven't had other children in playing elite stream. And he explained, yes, that he'd had one. And she goes, well, she said, would you have sent this type of email to your son's coach? And he said, well, no. And she said, well, why is it appropriate to send it to your daughter's coach? And so there was
I
silence at the other end of the line.
I had a player, he was a pro, and he went to played in the NCAA, and his dad did that continuously, like even in the NCAA, and I wanted to bring him to Salzburg. But the American guy phoned his friend coaching in one of the colleges in the States. He said, no, you don't want to, this guy's a privileged kid and all that. And the kid was good himself, but his dad was doing the same thing to NCAA Div 1 thing. Then I helped the kid get a contract in Finland, and his dad was doing the same. He was phoning the coach about line combinations and what his son should be doing, and basically got the kid banned from pro hockey because his dad was such a pain in the ass. So it doesn't just end in midget AAA. So go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I want to get back to Carrie here. And just to ask you, Carrie, have you ever had to confront a parent and been able to do so with success, or did you have support with you, behind you, beside you, that would sort of control the environment for you to operate the way you wanted?